Unbelievable. After all of the positive things I have to say and I have said about the Taiwanese healthcare system, especially on a couple of videos, I've talked about my operation, my upcoming operation. I've had a total disaster and I haven't had my operation done, which was originally planned for yesterday. So here's what happened. If you've been following my recent videos about my upcoming operation, where I've just tried to discuss some information for foreigners who are looking to get operations here in Taiwan, I was going to then do the last episode, which actually goes into the hospital for my surgery. I've already talked about the price ranges and different information and the procedures in those previous videos. So it looks like this is going to be the last episode because I'm going to have to postpone the operation. Now, what happened? I've recently just come back from a trip back home to England to visit family and friends, hence why I've not been very active and posting videos. I'm just tired. I've just got jet lag. I've been spending good quality time without walking around worrying about, oh, I've got to film this or do that. Okay. Although I do love doing this and giving out information about beautiful Asia and travel, sometimes we need a break. So I took my trip away thinking that all of the operation was already planned out, because obviously this is the second time now I've gone around to do it and secure and schedule an actual date. So I went home thinking when I come back, I arrived back to Taiwan on Friday thinking I'm ready to go on the Monday, get the operation done, then I can recover for the week. So anyway, I come back. I've not received any text message or call from the hospital, which they said they would do to make sure that my bed is arranged for the overnight stay and whatnot, and just to make sure everything's okay, to meet the doctor beforehand. Right. So I start to panic a little bit, because when things go quiet in Taiwan, now I'm going to say some things which isn't having a go at the way Taiwan is, because I prefer here 100% more than back home in England. And it's even heightened that feeling, especially when foreigners come back from visiting home. Although you do miss friends and family, you're happy to get back into Asia, especially Taiwan again. So I came back, and when it goes silent, especially in Taiwan, something has probably happened, something has gone wrong. So there's a big thing with people not taking accountability or passing on proper communication, or basically just being responsible for different decisions and actions here. So when things go quiet, you should start to worry, or you know that you do have to follow up on information. So with everything gone quiet, I start to think, right, something's not right. I start to try and call the hospital. So after 2 days of trying to call them and people basically not knowing what's happening, saying that there's no details, eventually someone tells me, oh, your operation was last week on the 19th. I said it can't be on the 19th because it was booked for the 26th, and I've just been in the UK on the 19th, which is why we agreed when we made the booking that it wasn't going to be on the 19th or any of that week. So they said, oh, well, someone's cancelled it. I said, well, I haven't cancelled it. Who's cancelled it? They said, I don't know. So what I thought would start to happen started to happen, where basically communication has been lost, broken, not passed on, and no one's taking responsibility, and basically nobody can give you a direct answer. So this may be some good advice for you, especially if you're coming to Taiwan in every walks of life. To get that main detail or the correct information, you have to do the groundwork yourself. So what did I do? I waited until Monday, the day of my operation. I just packed my bag just in case, and I turned up at the hospital and said, hey, I'm here for my operation. And everyone was dumbfounded. Nobody knew what I was talking about. It took the first hour to actually go through why I was there, to take out all my paperwork, and to actually show, yes, I've been trying to call you for days and I've got no information, and now somebody said that my booking has been cancelled. My operation has been cancelled. So after an hour of discussion, now the helpers, they do have English speaking helpers there, because I can't go deep enough getting the detail out in my limited Chinese. So the helpers there, what are bilingual, were amazing. One lady took me all the way up to the right reception area, registration area, and translated for me. And she also heard my story, and she was pretty agreed for me and said, look, this isn't acceptable. I said, I know, because it's now the second doctor. The first doctor said, okay, we'll call you, and then didn't call me. After 2 weeks, I called the hospital, and then they said, okay, best thing to do is rearrange another appointment. So I had to go through the whole consultation process again, pay another consultation fee with another doctor, and then this happened. So finally we get to the bottom of what kind of has happened, and one of the nurses came to see me, but this is after an hour. Okay, so I've already gone through 6 hours of consultations and waiting in the waiting room and getting my blood work done and x-rays done, and this is meant to be the day of the operation. So the nurse comes, translator is there, and everyone's been really helpful. Okay, so I can't knock that whatsoever. And the nurse says, oh yeah, someone tried to call you on the 19th. I said, why on the 18th, ready for the 19th operation? I said, well, why did they try and call me? They know specifically that I was away, so I probably didn't get the phone call anyway. However, and because I have to make this point, because then they start to put the onus on, oh, it's my fault because I didn't answer the phone call. And I said, no, sorry, let's remember the details here. The detail is, the important detail is, my operation was set for the date of the 26th, today. Not, oh, you've changed it and then you couldn't get hold of me by phone, because I wouldn't have been available anyway, because I'll be working and I'm doing different stuff. So there is sometimes a way that things can be rephrased where then it becomes a problem of, oh, miscommunication. It usually is, especially with foreigners. And they started saying, oh yeah, it's miscommunication then because you didn't get a phone call. I said, it's not. I said, the booking was for the 26th. I said, look, I'm not angry. As you can see, I'm just really disappointed, because now I've stopped all my work-ins, ready for this week of recovery. So I'm missing out on family time. I'm missing out on earning money. And it's not okay. And this has been ongoing since the end of March. And now we're in the end of May. I said, this isn't what I've had with previous experiences in Taiwan with the healthcare system. I said, I'm just really disappointed with this. So anyway, the nurse then said, okay, let me take you to the doctor, because he's now in surgery. I said, he's in surgery? I said, that's my surgery. I said, who's he surgerying on? Who's he working on? It should be me. So then it kind of clicked. And look, I can't say for sure, but I think I and a lot of people know what happens with doctors nowadays, okay? Even at public hospitals. They hire doctors on the private kind of pay per go, and they get paid a fee for certain operations, and different operations have different payment levels, okay? So mine, which is a cheap hernia operation, probably isn't going to pay everyone as much as something more serious. So what I believe has happened, and now I talked to the doctor after, what I believe has happened is my operation was changed to a week earlier so it could make way for someone else who was deemed more important, or possibly, and I'm not saying, but possibly more valuable. So yeah, my date was changed for the week before, which was then why it was cancelled, because I didn't reply because I was away. And the nurse was really super helpful. So again, cannot knock the helpfulness and the support I got from the staff once I was there. So the nurse took me to then another building, and she said, look, the doctor is in surgery. He finishes in 1 hour. Please, can you wait? Because we contacted him. And so I thought, what, while he was doing it, was he on Bluetooth or something? I don't know. But word has it that I had to wait another hour just in the waiting room. He would come and see me and try and sort out this problem. I said, it can't really be sorted out. It's already too late. But okay, I will give him 1 hour. So I sat in a waiting room. I waited for over 1 hour now. So now I've now been at hospital for nearly 4 hours. Well, 3 hours, because the final hour is in the last part, what I'll get to. So then I wait, and I see the doctor come in. I'm not using his name because it isn't all about, picking people out whose fault it is. And he came. I said, oh, doctor. And he said, oh, hi, Matt. I said, yes. So what happened? He said, oh, we tried to call you. I said, it's not about you trying to call me. It's about, we made the appointment for the 26th, right? Which is today. And he said, oh, but it was the 19th. I said, so what they was trying to do is put the onus on me that it was my fault again. And then he mentioned, like everyone mentions, oh, it was miscommunication. I said it wasn't. I said, we got our calendars out. You put it on your system. I put it in my diary. And I called all of my work, all my clients, everything I was doing to cancel for the following week so I can recover. I said, I've got it here. And then he checked his diary and it said the 19th. And I said, look, I'm not calling you a liar, but you've probably just arranged your schedules right because you just finished operating. That was meant to be me. I said, can you tell me now that it wasn't originally meant to be for 26th? And then it was silence. And then he said, sorry. And I said, sorry is all well and good, but I've lost a lot of money now and I've lost time. I've changed all my scheduling around just for this. Anyway, he then tried to be even more helpful, which is great for him. He said, look, when can you be available? My operation day is Monday. I can book you in. I said, no, sorry, this is like, I planned everything around this day today, and now I'm unavailable for the next few months. I said, look, I know it's a small like operation and I'm getting by. It's not serious. I said, is it okay to wait? He said, yeah, it'll be fine to wait. It's a small hole in the stomach. I said, I'll wait then. He said, oh, so when do you want me to put you in? I said, no, I'm sorry. I'm moving house, moving back to one of my other houses. In Taipei, I'll go to another hospital. Then he said, look, which hospital I can come and do it? I said, no, sorry. I don't know the details. I'm just going to start the procedure again. I'm just going to do it all from fresh beginning, okay? And then, although disgruntled, I was polite, professional. I said, thank you for your time. Have a great day, with kind of a dry smile, and walked off. Now I'm going back and I'm thinking, right, that's done, just go home. But a little part of me just thought, you know what, there is some disjustice here. There's disjustice because it's happened twice now and I've paid 2 consultation fees, which wasn't a lot. It was about £25. It was about 1,000 NT in total for the 2. But the first doctor just disappeared. So basically I gave him money for nothing. And the second one, this happened. So I thought, you know what, just for a moral victory, I'm going to go and try and get a refund. So I went back down to registration. Now, this took 40 minutes because, again, everyone was dumbfounded that I was asking for a refund. When I had the 2 slips here, what actually was the same thing for 2 different days, I explained the first doctor disappeared, the second doctor changed the date, and I've had nothing. So I've had 2 consultations and nothing happened. And I've given you money. And they just didn't understand. They said, you have to get the refund from the doctor. And then I sat there and said, I can't even get an operation done by a doctor. How can I get a refund? I said, you have to do this. Please help me. You speak to the doctor. And then I just sat there. Then they'll talk to another 2 or 3 people. This will go on for another 30 minutes. This tends to happen when you have kind of any ongoings in a bank or any kind of customer service where people don't want to take responsibility, or they have to check with 2 or 3 supervisors before they can give you some kind of answer, which isn't really an answer, which solves your problem. So finally, and I mean finally, because it was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and finally a really, really helpful, nice young lady came, I think was one of the supervisors, who had good English. She was really sweet. She said, my English isn't good. I spoke in Chinese and said, it's better than my Chinese. I said, we can get there half and half. So she said, I want to help you write kind of like a feedback, but it's a complaint procedure. And she also agreed that it was really bad what happened to me. So bless her, we went round to another reception and she wrote down almost like a police statement of what happened, and she wrote it down in Chinese for me. So it then has to be processed and sent higher up the management to try and get a refund. So as you can see, it's been an absolute disaster. I've lost money, I've lost time, but I tried to keep calm throughout because, look, it's not the worst thing what can happen in life. Life goes on and we're all getting older now and people die. So I'm trying to look on the bright side, right? So, and we do need doctors, and I know they're all busy and whatnot, and it's better than waiting 3 to 5 years on the National Health Service back in the UK. So again, I can't complain. But everyone sympathised with me. I tried not to kick up a fuss, especially because I'm a foreigner which isn't speaking 100% clear Mandarin, Chinese. So that's my fault as well. but everyone's really helpful. So now I pass it on just to try and get refund, because I just think it's reasonable, because I paid for two things and I didn't get any value. I didn't even get what I paid for the consultation. I didn't get the operation, and it was just a big mess. So that's it. I'm not going to do any more on this. Everyone's got the prices of what I would have paid. Everyone saw that it would have been free if it went public. It would have been a little bit more if I went private. It would have been a little bit more depending on what medicine you need or what kind of materials they use in certain operations. But all in all, it is cheaper to get operations done here than most countries in the West. That is the end. Talk soon.